Hi everyone, Elle Hackney here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel where I get to speak to everyone in the book world, whether they be authors, illustrators, publishers, industry professionals, podcasters. But today, I have someone who's come back because they have another book. Kirsten Ealand, please welcome. I can't wait to talk about this.
Thanks, Lauren. It's lovely to chat to you again. Thank you.
Tom, I absolutely adore this book, The
Yay,
Big
me too.
Backyard Plan. We have that in common. Funny that. But I'm wanting to know how you came up with this idea and how it came about, because this is something in the market I think that's very needed.
Great. Well, yes. So the big backyard plan was, do you want me to tell you what it's about first? It's about four kids. These four kids, Azumi, Theo, Bree, and Jack, who live side by side and back to back. So they're best friends and neighbors, and they love being neighbors, but they come up with a brilliant plan to make it even more fun. Um, they just have to convince their parents. So they have an idea of sharing their backyards and taking out the fences. But yes, things don't go exactly to plan. Um, but it's a joyful picture book about best friends, big dreams, community, and making the world a better place. One good idea at a time, starting in your own backyard. So it was inspired by me as a child. We had big high fences like this in my backyard, and I grew up in suburban Sydney. We had quite a big backyard, and we had a trampoline in our backyard. And I used to spend a long time on the trampoline. And I remember jumping on the trampoline and thinking about all the other houses around us, and how they all had trampolines as well. And a lot of us had above ground pools in those days, and lawnmowers and tool sheds and totem tenors, and we all had these items. And I remember thinking how most of them probably weren't used very much. And I can clearly remember thinking, what if each house, instead of having its own items, could share these items between houses? So it seemed like a way less wasteful and more environmentally friendly system to me back then. So I was a greenie from a very young age. Um, so the big backyard explores this sort of the fun and excitement and spirit of that can be felt when families learn to embrace sharing as a way of life. So, and I suppose in my own life, I have put this a little bit to the test. Um, my husband and I moved to a rural land share community about 25 years ago. So just before our first child was born. So it's a nearly 100-acre property, and we share it between 10 families. And even though we all have our own house sites and our own, we look after our own bit of forest, we share the roads, the water supply, the swimming dam, and we meet to make collective decisions about running our community. So yeah, so I've dedicated the big backyard plan to my husband and my children, but also to all of our neighbours on our community for coming along on the rural land share adventure with me. And it's not quite sharing backyards, but it's pretty close. So yeah, they're the inspirations.
Yeah, I one thing I did pick up from this though is that all the children have something to offer as their own interest as well. And it's almost like you're learning how somebody else's passions and your own passion, like together, can actually make your bond stronger as well. And there's so much I can take away from this book. So the moment I got my little hands on it, I kind of thought, oh, there's so much here to unpack because there's so many themes, and it is beautifully illustrated as well. Like,
Yes,
look at all this color, look at all this
Laura's
green.
illustrations are stunning.
Yeah, they absolutely are. So tell me the process with writing the story, how long this one took for you from woe to go. Tell me your process there.
Okay, so I had this idea in the back of my head for quite a while, because I thought it had a really good hook. And I know as a debut author, and even though I'm not a debut, this is my second book. There's my first one up there. But I was a debut when I got picked up for this. As a debut author, you really need something that's different, that is going to hook, to make it different than what's already out there, or they'll just use the authors they already have. So I really thought this was sort of like something that was sort of my story and a hook, a good hook. So I really thought about it for a long time before I started writing. I wasn't quite sure how I wanted to approach it. I was sort of just letting it percolate. And then one day, the first two lines of the book just popped into my head with the meter exactly as it is now in the final version. So it didn't have all the names. It was just like dun 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 and Jack lived side by side and back to back. And I went, that's it. Side by side and back to back. And then I just, it became Azumi, Theo, Brie, and Jack live side by side and back to back. So quite handily, those first lines determined that it would be in rhyme because I hadn't thought about doing it in rhyme before that, even though I do like to write in rhyme. But the rhyme really added such fun and the lovely rhythm that really fitted the tone of the story, I thought. So I kept it, and then it set the rhyme scheme and the meter, and then gave me the structure to write the narrative. So that I sort of had that, and once I had that, the rest sort of just flowed. I just went through then and told the arc. So yeah, so that's sort of how the story got written. And then I got the publishing story.
Yeah, great. Yeah, so everyone can hear what your journey has been like, inspiration for their own.
Yeah, so I pitched it to Tash Besliev at a firm press at Kidlit Vic. So it was an online Kidlit Vic, and it was one of those sessions that have you have 12 minutes or something with two publishing professionals. I also had an agent in there as well, and so basically I could read the whole story. I love that. If you get a chance to do the Kidlit Vic one that has that 10 minutes, I highly recommend it because it's enough time to really, they've not seen the story before. So you're pitching it, you're reading it, because you've got enough time usually for a pitch book, and then you get to chat about it. And so, yeah, so Tash loved it and said she loved it and she was taking it away to show to her team. But it never actually came to fruition until another year after that. So I kept following up and she kept saying, I really still love this. I haven't got to it yet. And then again and again. So persevere. And then eventually, yes, it went all the way. Did have a slight change of ending once it got to acquisitions. And there was something they didn't like at the end. They thought it came a bit easily or something at the end, and suggested a change, which I sat with. I didn't love the suggestion, so then I sat with what was it that they were wanting different, and what was it that they weren't satisfied with, and how could I write that in a way that still honored the story. And so I did, and I did that. That came really quickly as well, and I got that back to Tash, and it all went through the sales team. Yes, 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 and we got that happening really quickly at the end after a whole year of waiting. And yeah, it's so great because I think the ending is way better and way more satisfying than it was originally. So I'm really happy that we had that. Yeah, the editorial process with this book was really great.
Now, that's great. You had such a positive experience. But what I'm taking away from that story as well is Kidlit Vic. So you have an opportunity to read your entire manuscript. So for those out there who are watching this video who can't pitch, I've been there. I'm still there. Pitching is not my strong suit, but it's good to know that there is an avenue. And yes, it does only happen once a year. Yes, there is a cost involved to join, but if you feel your strong suit is reading that manuscript that you're so passionate about, this might be a great avenue for aspiring authors who are yet to hit that mark if pitching is something that they don't feel they're so confident at.
Yes, well, I think it's called, I'm trying to think what that segment's called that they do. It might be called Pitch Perfect, I think. I can't remember now. But it's not so great for feedback because we're in a regular manuscript assessment, they've seen your work before and they give you feedback in the session. So that's really invaluable in that way. But this one I really like if you've got something that you think is really polished and really ready, and you can sort of just hook them at the beginning, give them the story. Then, I mean, I don't think everyone reads their story, but I just read the whole one. In fact, I read two. I really like it for that. So if you've got something that you really think is going to be a good fit for that publisher, and it's really polished, I think that's a really good way to show it off. So
now, just for those out there who are super curious, because you're no longer a debut, You've got
No,
book number two. How has your publishing journey been different for each book?
quite different because the size of the publishing house is quite different. So my first book was with Windy Hollow, and that was a wonderful first experience, and I learned a lot because a lot of it because it's Christina really runs it as a one-woman show almost. There's a lot that only so much she can do, so you have to learn a lot on the way as you're going as well. So, um, and that was really great. It was a bit overwhelming at the time of how much I felt there was to do, um, but it was a wonderful, massive learning curve, and I think that's really helped me for this book now, which is has been different because there's a bigger team that you're dealing with. So I had an editor um, that I worked with for the. We didn't make loads of changes, but that was really good having someone to talk through some decisions in the manuscript, but also about the illustrations and everything. There was more of a process of talking about. She wanted more illustration notes to hand over first. I think she asked me to write a little bio for each child.
Wow.
Because each one of the children, like you were saying before, Lauren, has quite a unique little personality and has a unique family structure and brings something different to the little group. So yeah, so even though actually when I look back at those little bios, it's not exactly the way it turned out. It was just nice to have that sort of input and think about those things in the beginning. And then they suggested Laura Stitzel, who is the illustrator, and she is just so talented, Laura. She's an animator, and just the way she draws people. This is such a character-driven story,
Yeah.
and there's so many people in it. There's loads of scenes with lots of people, and just the way she can just really capture the characters' emotions and exactly what's happening with just oh my goodness, almost so few lines. Really, it's just really in awe of her talent, and I think Laura's brought a lot of heart to the story as well because um, I knew that I wanted diverse characters and that each kid would be distinct and that they would have unique families. But Laura's really taken that to the next level. And I'm really sure that every kid that reads this will be able to see something of themselves or their family in the book. So it's just such a wonderful, diverse crew of people. And yeah, so that was just like next level for me. And I also really wanted the end result of the kids' big idea of sharing the backyards to be better for everyone in the families, not just for the kids. I think that's like the hallmark of a really great idea is that everyone wins in some way. And I just love how Laura has portrayed this. There's so many heartwarming and joyful interactions between families and between different family members of different families. And the teenage brother is such a good example of what I mean. So if you get a chance to have a look at the teenage brother and in the last spreads. Those last spreads are so joyous. So yeah, she's really just brought that heart as well there. So yeah.
It's an absolute amazing job too with Laura because when you're reading the book, the illustrations add that extra warmth and that extra layer of community and connection is what I picked up when I first
Yeah.
read this story. And how do you go with your book launches now that you're on book two? What have you learned and what makes a good, successful book launch?
I've learned that a book launch is a lot of work.
Yes, it is.
Um, I had a fabulous first book launch. It was wonderful. It was at my local library. I work at that library, so I was very well supported. I had lots of people. It was very well attended, and Deb Hudson, the illustrator, flew up, and that was sort of at the like quite near the end, and it was unexpected, and I was really so chuffed about that. And we had such a wonderful day. It was wonderful, but it was so big and so much work. And this one's quite soon after. So I just didn't feel to do another one of those kind of launches again. So I suggested, what about we do one together? Laura and I come down to Melbourne. So that's been great. So now I'm going down to Melbourne. So I think it's the Not sure when this is going live, but yeah, it's in on the 8th of March and at Readings Kids. So Laura's going to do a window display in the window for the book, which will be lovely. And yeah, so just doing a little bit differently. And yeah, a few family and friends are flying down and other friends down there. And, it's just, hopefully a few kid lit friends from down in Melbourne who I haven't never met, that online friends will come along. And yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah, so
No,
just
it's going to be a fantastic launch because I've seen how much effort you've put into your first one. Although I did look at it going, you could have backyard rage cage launch and you could be like, come and demo my fence.
I could. I'm still doing making my little books that I made in my first one. We always throw them up and make a little, everybody gets one and we throw them in the air when we launch the book. So that's fun. And my little cake toppers, they're so cute. I mean, I've got such cute little illustrations to work with. But yeah, so I do a lot of it myself. But
so aspiring authors out there, if you're watching this, it does not get easier with every book you bring out. Kirsten's here to tell us, but it's also fun because this is the part of your book where you are celebrating because you've been signed, the editing's done, the final pages have been printed, the illustrations are magical. Why not make a party out of it? I think it's fantastic. Now, your school visits, I understand you love doing them. How available are you for the big backyard plan?
yes, I am available for school visits. It's suitable for preschool and for stage one, like K1, 2. And actually for older kids, actually, there's some really great themes in there that the kids have. It's sort of as like a bit of like a blueprint for when you have a good idea how to go about putting it into action. So it's actually something that even older kids will enjoy talking about. So yes, so you can contact me through my website. I work at my local public library doing story times and things. So I'm an ex-teacher, so I'm good with kids. But yeah, so I only work 2 days a week at the library, and the rest of the time I'm writing. So I've got good availability. So yeah.
And for any high schoolers or aspiring authors out there, are you contactable to give advice for those who would just love to be in your shoes?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I got into writing for kids. I've always liked writing, but I always just wrote for like I did a few writing courses over the years, and they're always adult courses. And it wasn't until I saw a writing for children course that Zanny Louise ran at just Byron Bay Community Centre, like which is quite close to me. So, and I thought, wow, that sounds like everything I love right there. So, and I went along, and it was just amazing. It went for I think it was 8 or 10 weeks or something. We went every Tuesday or something, and she just, I think Zanny only had one book out then. And that was in 2017, one book out and one coming. And my God, now she's got like gazillions. But yeah, but she was just so generous with sharing her information and about the journey to publication and about writing. So yeah, I'm totally happy to share that kind of information. Yeah.
So educators, teachers out there, kindergarten staff, if you are looking for an author visit, Kirsten Ealand is absolutely available. She has 2 wonderful books available with different messages, different kind of themes. So lots of variety to choose from as well. If you're looking for something for book week, I would book her in now because those weeks fill up pretty quickly. But also, if you are an aspiring author or you're just looking for advice, I know Kirsten's really knowledgeable. She's also very open and communicative. She's happy to talk to anyone. So make sure you contact her. And we do want to see what happens next for this amazing author. So please give her a follow on the socials, share her content, buy her books, make sure you review them because we want to see authors and creatives like Kirsten in the game for a long time. So what can we expect from yourself in the future?
Well, I'm going to have a big rest. No. So yeah, I really, when I was promoing and getting ready for my launch and everything last year, I found it really an uncreative headspace. It was a very different headspace, and I wasn't writing very much. So it's really nice I had a nice break over the Christmas holidays and got back into a lot more writing and back into my critique group, who I feel bad that I was hardly there for most of the second half of last year. So I'm really looking forward to lots more writing. And yeah, you never know, there might just be some more coming along after this one.
I hope so. Kirsten, thank you so much for talking with me today. Congratulations on this amazing book. I suggest everyone out there grab a copy, see what it's all about. And if you're anything like me, will resonate with you too, with how we all grew up. So thank you so much for talking to me today.
Thank you, Lauren, and thanks again for being such a wonderful support to Kidlit creators. All creators, actually. You don't just do Kidlit. Then, yeah, very much appreciated. Love chatting to you.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye.